Okay, hopefully that should be me live. I just wanted to test everything out that it's all working the way I expected it to. We had a test stream a couple of nights ago. Tom joined on that one. We tried a few things out using OBS at the moment, and I've kind of got the hang of it now. It seems to have ironed out some of the bugs that it had when I tried to use it 12 months ago. The kit seems okay. Being able to do two people on the same chat seemed to work okay yesterday, so hopefully that means that I can go back and start doing some of the interviews that I'd planned and redoing Fernando Jerez, who very gamely gave me about an hour's worth of interview last time, and then we found out that all the video was corrupt using the method that I'd tried. So hopefully that will work and we'll be able to do that live coming soon and also some of Tom coming soon. So I just thought on this one I'd play around a little bit and just give a bit of an update what I've been working on, that sort of thing, and then hopefully that will let me play with OBS. Let me see how it all works. Let me see what that comes back onto. I have to admit that part of this is to just to be able to get some content on my channel. I had great grand ideas of making more videos. I'd started a couple of projects. I had a good few ideas of videos that I was going to do, and then the pandemic happened, and everything kind of went to pot. So I didn't really get to start any of those. So part of it is that this will obviously be recorded. I say obviously, this is what I'm assuming and what I'm trying to test, and then become available later on my channel. So as a new video. So hopefully that should be okay. So kind of what have I been up to? As I say, there was a couple of videos that I was in the process of making. I need to duck out the way. I've still not got the hang of which way to duck out. Over my shoulder there, you should just be able to see the Erion Thinker S. That arrived. I bought that as a customer return, so there were one or two issues with it, and I'm waiting for the parts. Obviously, again, shipping of everything at the moment is not ideal, so I'm waiting for the parts for that to turn up and then get that up and running, and I'll do a video about that. It looks on the from what I've seen of it so far, it looks a really well made solid unit, and it's kind of CR10 size, 300, 300, 400 high. So hopefully that'll allow me to get back into doing slightly bigger things. The other video that I was kind of working on was I was looking at initially was the filamentive, and I don't know, this is kind of matte moss grey, which is actually it's a kind of greeny color, which I really like. The finish of that's fantastic. So I'd kind of printed a few things for that as a big maker coin, um, and was going to do a video on that. And again, just haven't got time now. And also, hopefully, the noise cancelling on this headset is stopping the noise coming from those printers over there, which are obviously non-stop printing of face shields just at the moment. So that again was another one. Also managed to get hold of some more filamentive goodness. So Robbie kind of sorted me out with some of the new RPET G, and that was kind of if I just get the lighting right on that. So this is a model by Tarek Saber, my pal, and he basically that. If I give you another example, this one is one that I love to print, and when the Thinker S is up and running, I'll be able to finish this with longer legs. Stephen, Lightspeed, hello. So this hopefully will get finished at some point, but I was kind of again usurped by that. So that's PET G. So that's the RPET G, which is some crazy amount. I don't know, high 80s, 90s, high 90s maybe, of recycled content. So good stuff. One thing I would say, I have found it to be a little bit wet. So hygroscopic, T straight, hygroscopic, and all of the stuff that I've got, I've had to dry out before I've used it. When you do that, it prints beautiful. And again, if I can just show that there, hopefully that'll focus a bit better. There we go. For Pet G, that's a lovely finish. Obviously, Tom Filament Frenzy gave me some pointers on the profile on that. So there's other bits of that to go. And again, I'm kind of talking to Tarek about the about how I print it, and he's kind of helping me out with that a little bit as well. So hopefully we'll get that finished as well with the Filamentive. The other thing that I was working on, and if you just bear with me, hopefully this will work okay. Um, so here you can see this is the wheel that I'm working on, and it's a model of an old power generating water wheel that was in a local village, and as you can see, it's quite big. So these wheels were huge. All the bits are kind of in the different bit. The spokes were slightly different, etc. But hopefully, by the time it's finished, that should be a nice model. But again, you know, everything's stopped. The I say everything stopped. I had made progress. So this are the wheels, as you can see, and they go side by side. They're driven by, funnily enough, they drive spur gears that go inside the wheel. Can't hold two at the same time, can I? So inside the wheel there, that drives that, and then between the two of them, as the water comes down, and hopefully that drives another shaft. So they're there in real life. So the originals of these, so you see these, and it's a decent enough size. It's again, I guess, is it 200 milli maybe diameter? That in real life was 50 feet diameter. So a kind of person is down here somewhere. It's mind blowing when you see the old photos of it. But yeah, that will be a nice model, I think, by the time it's finished. The idea is that will be a working model, and you can see again just some of the gears there. What I tend to do with this, I kind of think about these problems the way the model goes together. I think about these on and off. I'll be working on 5 or 6 different models at the same time at least. And when I get bored or stuck on one of them, I'll just flick to something else, and that way I always kind of stay kind of fresh. So hopefully I've already got ideas of. So this is kind of the assembly that I was talking about for the uh, the spur gears in the middle, and again you can see the design isn't quite there, but it will be there. This is Filamentum Vertigo Galaxy. Again, I'm trying to catch it just in the light so you can see it. Don't know whether that is working or not, but hopefully will look quite nice. But I now know, having thought about it for about a week, I now know how I would probably do that slightly differently, and it's just getting the time to get back in there and do the modeling. So that is on the cards. One of the other things, and I did this a long time ago, I guess in relative terms, but just never got around to it. So my Galactic British Empire playset, I've not really done much on it lately. My lad still loves it. He still plays with all the toys. Some of the things have proved to be a little bit fragile, let's say. I tried to make it as chunky as possible, and there's not much detail on there so that it doesn't break, because he's 4, his sister's 3. I don't want little bits all over the place. But he plays a lot with the robots, the Robo-Tommies that I like. So I kind of came up with a design for a new one of those. And again, we'll go in there. Hopefully you can see that. And this obviously is in 2 parts so that the head can turn around independently. Boom! Is that going to do it? No, it's focused on my hand, hasn't it? But you get the idea. So 2 parts. And again, I will get back to that at some point in the future. Who knows when. What else? What else have I been up to? Obviously, hopefully you all saw Fernando Jerez's deck chair, which is really a superb print in place model. Um, Absolutely loved it. As soon as he showed it to me, I was like, I'm printing that. I've got to stop everything else. I'm going to put that on the printer. I love it. It takes me back to my childhood, Blackpool Beach. Actually, I'm lying there. It's not Blackpool Beach, but certainly the beaches in North Wales. I spent most of my childhood holidays, but I then did a slight modification of that, which obviously was just to raise every other one of the panels, and then did Prusa Slicer color swap to get the different colors. I uploaded that. Fernando kind of asked me to, was fairly keen that we took that idea and anything that I came up with or anybody comes up with that you upload it as a remix. So that's what I did. I uploaded that model and it's got a fair few downloads. Who made that chair? The chair, Fernando Jerez. Sorry. Say again. So whatever it is. Fernando of the absolute genius with procedural stuff. It's a brilliant idea. It really is. I have to say. The guy, I'm very fortunate to call him my friend, and the guy's an absolute genius, and we'll definitely have him back on and interview him and talk about that sort of thing as well as all the amazing procedural stuff that he does. He's just started doing jigsaws. I kind of did this typical thing for me, which is I designed a jigsaw, just a simple put in place. I'll show you again in a minute, Steve. But I designed a jigsaw, and I immediately said in the chat in the group that we were in that I'm sure Fernando could come up with a way of making this automatically generate, and sure enough, he did. But he took it to, you know, he turned it up to 11, let's say. Absolutely superb. So how does it print? So it prints in place, and it's fantastic. I mean, that is it. So it prints flat on the bed like that, and you break it off and it just comes up. She didn't get a notification for this show today until just a few minutes ago. I don't know how the notifications work yet. I'm still kind of working on all of that type of stuff. That's part of the reason that I wanted to do this quick live stream, just to figure out exactly how it's all working. I've done a few private ones to try and get the tech in line, but then I actually don't know the way YouTube works. I've never streamed before like this, so I've only ever joined other people's streams, so I just thought it'd be worth looking at that. But yeah, so it prints in place, flat on the bed, and then it's just absolute genius. It comes up, so definitely go and pick that up. I think he's got it on Cults 3D, etc. You've been waiting for this show for a year. Yeah, so have I. So have I. To be fair, the plan is that Tom will join from time to time. I don't know whether he'll join all the time, but that is the plan. And then some of the other guys will no doubt get dragged in. And as I say, the the series of interviews that I had planned that I was going to do, and I'd spoken to a few people and asked them, and they were up for interviewing, and then the technology just completely let me down at the time. It was just after I moved house, everything was kind of terrible. So it took me a little while to get everything going down. So I thought, where's the infill sign? The infill sign. The infill. Where is the infill sign? It's a very good question. I don't know where the infill sign actually is. I've had to tidy up, which is kind of most unlike me in my little makerspace because these printers are in full-on production of the face shields. So it's I just have to move everything around so I could fit everything in and get it running. And the info sign was around here somewhere. I don't know. Tell you what, let me try something else. Let me try to see whether my transitions work correctly. And then while you're looking at the transition and I'm listening to some music, hopefully, then I'll quickly jump over there and see if I can find the sign. So cue music. Now I'm back with the mic on. Um, so rather annoyingly, I'm back, but I've absolutely no idea where the where the infill sign is. I actually dropped it on the floor the other day, so I know it was about, but who knows? But yes, I did make a video about it. Um, it was um, it was a sign with infill, and it was using. I think at the time I used Simplify 3D, and the kind of method in there to show the infill. Whereas now, I would definitely use Prusa Slicer, and it would be a damn sight easier. So yeah. So am I using only Prusas? I am using only Prusas for the mass at the moment. That is all I've got running. I mentioned this earlier on, but the Thinker S over my shoulder. I'm still waiting for parts to arrive for that to get that up and running. It was a customer return, and the customer I think had not not treated it kindly. Let's put it that way. So there was a few things that need replacing on that. So I'm waiting for them to turn up. Um, the Ender 3 is currently out of favour and pushed out to let all of this happen. And to be honest, I'm running 3 printers. That's all I'm running on it, and I don't really want to be running any more than that because it tends to trip the power out. Another one of the jobs that I never got around to doing before all this hit. So my electrician pal will be getting a call as soon as we're as soon as we're allowed to mix again. So at the moment, as I say, the 3 things are printing. Prusias. They're also printing with the you can see that. I'll show that to the camera up there. Go on, get a focus, get a focus, get a focus. Boom. Pet G for PPE orange from Prusiament, and I can't speak highly enough of this stuff. So Joe has turned up his printer lines to to 11, and they are churning that stuff out. It's slightly lower spec than it normally is, but it's still probably better spec than a lot of the stuff that you buy. The spooling isn't as beautiful as it normally is, but again, it's perfectly fine, and it's working a treat. So I've got those running, and this is the version that I'm making, and it's based on the Prusa Release Candidate 3 version of the headband. But what I've done is I've chopped the height down, and there we go, reshampled it all, and I've got rid of all of the lettering on it because it just felt to me as if that was slowing it down. So I've managed to get these now through a bit of fun with Tom in Prusa Slicer. I managed to get these down to print in an hour and a half a piece. So I, all synced up so that they finish at the same time, so that I can jump over and I set a timer for an hour and a half, come back, and sure enough, there they are finished. So yeah, so it's working quite well, and uh, this is definitely better luck rather than good judgment. If I print 8 of the bottom reinforcement pieces at the same time, it takes 3 hours. So that means I can set that running, and then it will finish as I'm just about to load up again. So yeah, it is working quite well. And at the moment, as I say, it's just the Prusias that I'm using, and but they're doing a good job so far. I've had a couple of failures. I've had a couple of clogs and stuff like that, but yeah, they seem to be working. So thanks for the link. Hi, Spike. So I'm checking the chat. Checking the chat. Most unprofessional. As I say, I'm first time that I've ever really streamed just on my own. I've been part of other streams before, but just thought I'd do this and see how we go. So what else have I been doing? I mentioned Fernando Jerez before. He was making building generators a while back, and he shared kind of the files with me, and I was absolutely made up with them. It was I thought they were really good, so I had a look at them and used the building generator quite a lot, and then made my own tile sets for it. And what I found was, as I was making the tile sets, there was something specific that I wanted, and then when you hit the generate button, it was never doing exactly what I wanted, and it's just like, oh, that's just so frustrating. So what I actually finished up doing was taking the tiles and just making something from scratch, and just kind of doing it that way, just totally using the tile set as building blocks to make my own version, if you like, of that. But yeah, I mean, Fernando's stuff is it just blows my mind every time. Absolutely love it. So let me just see if I've got this one. So hopefully I can open this up and I can share it. Take a little while. The cogs are grinding. I'm maybe asking my computer to do a little bit too much at the moment, but oh, it's pinging at me. I don't know whether you guys are getting that. I hope you're not, but it's pinging at me. So hopefully the pings are not transferring across. So just let me try and work with the tech just a second. Try and switch windows there. I will go to that one. Smashing. Hopefully that will work for you. Okay, I'll transition that in. So hopefully you can see there that based on again on my Galactic British Empire playset that I wanted to make, and the idea was I don't know, like a factory, I guess, and you could see the little launch pads, and to give you an idea of the scale, and I didn't realize this when I was doing it. You know, you gonna get carried away and then go, oh yeah, that looks all right, right, okay. So I printed the rocket that you can see there, and there it is. So the scale of the thing is going to be quite big, so I'm going to have to probably print it in parts and what have you. I've not even looked at that. So to answer your question, Spike, what things I'm going to make once this is done, this is probably one of them. Just a little a set. And what I've found with my son, who plays with all of the Galactic British Empire playset stuff that I've done before, is that he absolutely loves it. But then by the time you put it all together, there's a hell of a lot of it, and it takes up quite a lot of space. So I'm thinking of making him kind of smaller versions for so it doesn't take up quite as much of his bedroom, so he can play with it. So that's one of the things. The wheel. I don't know if you saw the water wheel that I was just showing, Spike. But that's the kind of main project that I'm working on at the moment. That is the I'll just switch back out. Sorry. That's the main thing that I'm looking at. So that's hello, Tanner. How are you doing? Um, and that will be a working model. So hopefully it'll drop water down and it'll turn the gears and whatever it does. I'm not sure what it'll do, but it'll do something that that makes it worth all the effort. And the kind of story behind that is my wife's grandfather basically was interviewed for a book um, that talked about the local village where they live. And in that book, there's a section all about this water wheel, and the water wheel used to power the the cotton mill, and it was dismantled in 1920. It was installed in 1820, so it was there for 100 years, producing power for this cotton mill. And somehow, I don't know. I mean, he is kind of very well connected, I guess. My wife's grandfather in the local area, and he had the plans of the wheels. So he passed them over, and I was like, oh, right, show me that. Right, okay, we'll get into that. And I just couldn't resist. So if I go back, hopefully I can flick back and show that. Stephen will, you'll have to excuse me because I know you've already seen it. I showed you that already. So I just go in, and that will be the way the wheel looks. And the idea is that, as I say, it will be working. At the moment, it's still just blocked out. You can see you've got a spur gear on either side in the main water wheels. They're driving the central spur gear, which then drives that, which will drive a shaft and maybe something else. I don't know. I don't know what that will look like in the end. But then the spokes, if you like, they're quite spindly, so I didn't want to print them because I didn't think they would do a good job if they were printed. So my decision on that was that I would do it as a color print using Prusa Slicer. So the back bit of this is really going to be printed black to be, the innards, the shadows, you can't see it, and then the front bits will be in a lighter color in silver or something along those lines, so you can just see the spokes. So that's kind of that's the big project. That's the main thing that I'm working on, I guess, or I would be working on if I wasn't printing face shields non-stop. So it should be fun, a bit of fun. A working model just so that I can give that to my wife's grandfather and he can play with it. So hopefully that will be a bit of fun. Transition back out. So yeah, what else? Just what else am I doing when all this is over? Who knows? Who knows? I'll probably have to bury the printers at the bottom of the garden. They'll have worn themselves out. So I will, but there's always 6 or 7 things going on at the back of my mind. So there is one. The hex wall, yeah, the hex wall. I do love the hex wall. I have to say, I kind of think it's really good. The idea is to carry it on the back wall, and I did have this idea that it would be community wall over the back. There's actually not that much room on it when you look at it. So unless I carry it up onto the roof, I don't know. But that was the thought. This one, I wanted it to be whites and greys. I want it to be nice and muted, and that's kind of the background that I use if I'm recording videos. That is the background. So I wanted that to be fairly neutral. The one over there, my idea is that I'll just be using the ends of spools just to make a multicolored one that just goes on there. But sorry about the chair. The chair makes an awful lot of noise. but the key component on the hex wall is zip ties. So quite a lot of white zip ties. I've gone into the making of that. They're all hidden behind it, obviously, but I have got the problem with that is it's great for it looks nice, but then if you want to actually add another one to it, you need to get either a round rod at the back or you need to take the whole thing down and add them in. So that was a real difficult one. But then going back the other way, doing the one for the other wall, I'm considering just making the zip ties part of the feature, part of the design, so that you see them at the front. Um, so that's like you saying, Spike. Usually all over the place with projects. I'm I tend to be over the. It's by design. It really is by design. The I get bored too easily. So if I'm doing a big project, you get down to a detail level and you try to design something, and I don't know, I'll get a mental block and think, how am I actually going to make this work? How am I going to design it to suit what I need, or how am I going to get it to look the way I want way I want it to do? And I don't like to get to that point and be stuck and then think I just need to think about just that for a week, and it would just frustrate the life out of me. So what I do is I go, right, pivot. Let's look at the next project. Um, and it tends to work. It just works for me doing that. I move to the next project, and that helps me then ignore that one for a while. Obviously, it'll still be in the back of my mind. I'll still be thinking about it, but I'll ignore the other one for a while, and then eventually something will present itself to me, and I'll go, I could just go back and do that, and I'll jump into it. So, it literally is to the point that there'll be occasions where I'll go in to a model that I've been working on for a while, and I'll make one change, and then go, I'm just not feeling it. I'll go out of it again and go to something else. I'm just trying to see. I'm kind of scooting through my folder of the various models that I've got that I'm working on all at the same time. Let me see if I go into here and then there, and then that one. I should be able to bring another one up, and I'll kind of show. This again is one of these ones where started it, worked a little bit at time, you do the same thing. I'm not surprised. So like the kind of when you're designing things that have got a lot of detail on, or things that you're complicated, where you're having doors on them and stuff like that. I can imagine that's why it's quite difficult. Right, let me go. And again, I'm just changing the window again. So this is one, and again, I've kind of posted this I think a few times on Instagram and maybe Twitter, but it it was actually a challenge. I think it was a challenge from Graphit. And it was one of these where you've got a mental blank, and just in a group chat there, and he said, "Oh, design a speeder bike." I went, "Right, okay," but I had no intention of actually finishing it off. I just blocked it up, um, just to see, if I could do it, and I was kind of fairly happy with how it looked when I blocked it up. Um, and then I just keep going back to it, and I'm fiddling with it. So there's little bits of detail on there that kind of weren't there before. There's a bit of a pipe. The last thing, and this is so unlike me, but the last thing that I thought about when I was doing this was how am I going to print it? And normally that is where I start from. It's got to be printable, and every single bit that every single detail that I add to a model, I'm going, yeah, but what orientation is that going to be printed in? What, do I need to put an angle in there, doing that? Literally not done that with this. I started from the other end. I started from just make something that I like, and then go back and see. Let's see what Tanner's saying there. Hinges, balls, snaps. Yep, yep. Ah, right. Yeah, I will do that as well. I will do that as well. So you'll get to a bit that's going to be complicated, but do all the blocking out, and so you get it in your mind, right? That's all right, and then you get to the right. Okay, I need to do something, and sometimes it's because I want to go and research it. I want to go and try different things, and does that work? Does that not work? But sometimes it's just a case of it's just pure laziness. It's a case of saying, you know, I don't want to go and spend the time of actually getting those bits done now. I just want to make something that looks a little bit pretty and move on to something else that looks a little bit pretty. So yeah, there's a little bit of that goes on, I think. This one, literally starting to think about how are all these things going to go together. So just some of the kind of the details in there. Um, are there going to be a nuts and bolts through there? Or are they going to be printed to look like nuts and bolts? More likely. But yeah, they just looking at kind of how you going to make these things. Like sometimes is enough to put you off a project for life. So it's always good to be able to open another one up. Let's say put some audio stuff. All right, okay. So you move around as well, Spike. You just sometimes you just need to stop and do the same. And I must admit I do envy you on the kind of the musician front. I wrote a few songs. I play the guitar particularly badly, and I wrote a few songs a few years ago, and it was more about I don't know, wooing a lady, as you tend to do, with the dulcet tones and all that. So um, I I wrote a few songs. What I found really difficult was to write anything that wasn't sad because I just couldn't be. I'm looking at the wrong camera, by the way. I can't believe that. The schoolboy error. Um, I just found it really difficult to be sincere with a happy song. If I wrote happy lyrics and I'm like, no, that just sounds cheesy. With sad ones, I thought I always felt like I could more relate to them. So when my life started getting particularly happy, it was difficult to write from experience. So I've not done that. Now I haven't touched the guitar since my 4-year-old was born. So it's probably best part of 5 years. It's there. I actually bought because of everything that's going on. I actually bought new strings for it, and I intend to get it strung up and start um, bimbling away on it. But as I say, I am definitely a strummer, and that's a kind of about my limit. But I always enjoyed doing it, and I think I liked writing songs because they were always easier to actually play when I've written it myself within my own skill set, So I didn't have to worry about somebody else's fantastic playing skills to try and adapt to my really poor ones. So yeah, I absolutely the same in that one. And I do love that creativity. So yeah, ballads are easier to write. 80% slow sad songs. Yeah, yeah. Most of mine were. I wrote honestly. I wrote a couple of tried to be upbeat, and I just it's one of those where you kind of you're playing it and singing it, and you're thinking, even I don't believe me. I so definitely I do like the slower ones. Weird segue. I wasn't expecting to be talking about music when I just started talking about that. But yeah, I mean, all of that sort of stuff. It's just a strange situation we find ourselves in at the moment, isn't it? Where you really looking inward. I would love it to be a situation where everybody had enough PPE and we weren't all printing constantly, and we could just concentrate on you know the hobby side of it and going back and doing stuff that we want. But it is what it is at the moment. We're just pushing out what we can. So as I say, these things are churning away. I'm not printing anything else just at the moment. I do think that I will have to have, I don't know, a day off and print something else just purely for my sanity at some point. But I feel the pressure to kind of keep pushing these things out. I'm nowhere near printing the likes of certainly Joe 3D Maker Noob has. He must be into. I don't know whether he's into a couple of thousand yet, but he's well over 1,000. of the face shields that he's printed. Tom Filament Frenzy, I'm sure he's a couple of hundred. Um, at the very least, he must be quite a few. I know that I spoke to him the other day and he said that he stopped counting, which is fair enough. I can't do that. I have to count, partly because I'm kind of doing it through work now as well. So we are organising the visors and the professionally cut and the elastic and all that. So you need to know how many we're going to provide to line all those other things up. So it just, I think it takes over you a little bit. So we're not doing anything else at the moment. It's good that there's not a big call. I mean, that must mean that there's enough, and that's kind of what you want. You want the health workers certainly, and all the other frontline guys to actually have everything that they need. So that is the problem here at the moment, that they don't. The other side to it for me is that 3D printing is not the answer. It is in no way the answer. You can sprint up with 3D printing. You can get to, oh, we need something new. We need it right now. Okay, you can get on and you can do that. But by now, I'd have thought that there'd been a lot more injection molded ones. So that is something that we're looking at work. That we're trying to. We don't do injection molding, but we've got an awful lot of suppliers and stuff like that. That our supply chain manager is busily talking to people to try and get that online and make the stuff that we're making here, make that obsolete as quickly as possible and get over to that. And then, doesn't necessarily mean that we'll stop 3D printing stuff, because there might be other things that we can 3D print. But at the moment, the big focus is on the face shields. And as I say, it's just I, it's stopping me wanting to do other stuff as well, because I'm spending so much time back and forth to the printers. You're When you go back in the house and you kind of I open the laptop and open CAD up, and I'm like, really? More 3D printing stuff? I don't think so. So hopefully that'll we'll overcome that at some point. And say I might have to just print one of somebody else's designs just to for a day, just to get me out of it. And probably, to be fair, hopefully Tarek Saber's one. I showed this earlier on as well, but there we go. And this supermodel, I'm printing this in the Filamentive rPET G, and it's let's try and get that in there. It is coming out lovely. It's a great model, and just want to get that finished really, because it's one that I've wanted forever, and I love Tarek's models. We've become friends through me printing his models, and I have to say that I really love him. I showed this before as well, but that's his Batman Beyond. I started printing this, and I did a video about it, but I started printing this on the Prusa, I think, or maybe even the Ender 3 actually. And not realizing, just kind of went for the sort of scale that I normally would for that sort of statue, not realizing that the legs and the boots were all one piece, and because of that they wouldn't fit on the printer. And I was like, oh, I can't believe that. But I'm holding on to it, because as soon as the parts arrive for the Thinker S, I'm going to get that one finished, because I absolutely love it. That I believe that's in matte black from MVO Engineering. Shout out for George at MVO Engineering, incidentally. So, as I say, the PPE printing I'm doing for through work now. I'm kind of helping to organise it. Hi, Fernando. We've been talking about you a lot, Fernando. You'll have to watch back. We're so through work. We're doing that. I had to source a lot of PET G for. I think there's 6 of us now printing. So I had to source PET G for all these people, and I was struggling to get it. One of the machines is 2.85, and I really was struggling to get it. So I reached out to George at MVO Engineering, and he hooked me up. So he gave me a really good price, and sorted out the quick expedited delivery as well for us. So that really helped, to be honest. I, Thank you very much, Fernando. The wall is getting some love, but not as much as I love it. I don't think. I absolutely adore the wall. It is. As one of the favourite things that I've ever printed. And when I kind of the door to come in is kind of over that way, and when I open the door, it's the first thing I see in the distance, and it's like, oh, I love that. I love that. So what's that Spike saying? Heavily pregnant girlfriend with visits weekly, which makes me concerned. Oh, I bet. Okay. She's showing a temperature. Don't send something potentially contaminated. Okay. This is the difficulty, isn't it? So I kind of like every so often, once a day, you get something on your chest and a cough, and as soon as you do that, you're like, hang on a minute, is that? So it's really difficult, but yeah, but congratulations in any case. Um, Not the best time, obviously, but still, you can't beat a new life. Mainly designing things for people to make after. It's just that, isn't it? We're still looking to the future and saying what can we do. Fernando, however, is a machine. He's just been designing stuff for fun. Um, I Unfortunately, Fernando, I'm gonna have to. You'll know the reason for this, but I'm gonna have to show my modded version of your chair again because I broke the other one again. I did. Honestly, I saw it. So Fernando's print in place, fantastic little deck chair that Stephen Lightspeed was admiring before, and it just prints in place like that. And then, if I fold it out the right way, it sits up like a good old-fashioned deck chair. And I just did the slight mod just to do make alternating bits a little bit higher, so you could do a Prusa slicer color swap on it, and superb. He's also been doing crazy jigsaws, and really crazy. I mean, the sort of thing that no, I'm not going to do. Print in place, yeah. Uh-huh. It's not printing in lace. That's something totally different. I think printing in lace. But yeah, so Fernando's been busy as per usual, producing his stuff. If you like that, I think your version of it, the original, is on Colts. I'm not sure it's on Colts 3D. I'm not sure if it's elsewhere. Fernando, I'm sure you can tell us in the chat if it's on my mini factory or that rubbish place that keeps falling over that I don't put stuff on anymore. But no, I'm not sure. Like, just go back in the chat a minute just to see if I've missed anything. Tanner's got, like I say, we were talking about this before, but 50 projects that are work in progress. Fernando will also kind of join this club as well, Tanner. We definitely have to have multiple projects on the go at once because it is far too easy to get bored or get stuck. Fernando will, I think, endorse that view also. Fernando has got a ridiculous big robot that he's been showing off on and off, but that thing's been going on a long time, hasn't it, Fernando? And I can see how it would get to the point that you were like, I just want to look at something else for a while. Fortunately for Fernando, he does an awful lot of procedurally generated stuff, and it's a complete step away. So it is totally different. So it is very cool, and I've been fortunate to play with some of his generators that are just mind blowing. They really are. Um, and again, I showed off some of the stuff earlier, Fernando. That go on, I've fixed it. He says carefully, I've fixed it. I haven't broke it off this time. So that's Fernando's original. There you go. And this is one that Fernando shared in a group chat that we're in, and I was like, I can't even remember what I was doing, something else at the time, another project, and I don't think I'd had the printers running for about 2 days or something. And as soon as I saw it, I went, I'm printing that. Stop everything else. Go and set the printer going. I absolutely love it. Super print in place model, and I think Fernando, you've put it on so you've got it on My Mini Factory, Cults, and Thingiverse, and I think you were kind of encouraging people to do remixes. That's what I'm telling myself when I did my very slight light touch on it. But yeah, hopefully that's the case. So what's that? Yeah, so you're the same. a lot of projects and not finishing most of them. Yeah, that is a difficulty, isn't it? Actually coming back to them. I've still got stuff that I probably started, I don't know, 3 years ago maybe. Um, that I actually found. No, I threw it out, I think, but I found a test print that I did, a 50% scale test print of a cargo plane idea that I was working on, and I just didn't like it. It was one of these things where you did it and I didn't like it, and I don't know. I've still got it. I've still got the files, and every so often I will open it up and think, do I want to go back and actually change it? Don't know. Maybe I will. So what's this? What does everyone like to make most? Like decorative, functional, only printed parts. Screws, bearing, magnets. Um, I love practical prints. I really do. And I know Tom, Filament Frenzy, kind of he will always have a go at me for it, but I would print practical prints kind of morning, noon, and night. I really would. Um, if you can just see, I'll get this wrong, but looking over my shoulder, so you see in between. So these are lac tables that are upside down, that are basically screened off in between them with insulation material in between them. But then I can't see, I can't do my finger right. There, the orange bits in between are little tool holders that slip over the top. So I absolutely love them. Um, also made again lac tables on a very similar vein. I've got can't really see them, but kind of the stuff that's to my left here sat on top of two lac tables, one on top of the other, and I made little corner pieces so that the top one doesn't slide off when I keep bashing it accidentally. Um, so that sort of thing all the time, and stuff for kind of like around the garden and stuff for the kids play thing. And like Tanner, I do an awful lot of toys, but that is, they are really driven by what the kids want. And my GBE Galactic British Empire playset, and part of that was because I'm also a frustrated writer. I love to write stories. I always wanted to write a science fiction story, never had the time. So part of that was down to that. Um, but that again, my lad plays with all of those toys and absolutely loves them. So I do occasionally go back and dig into them, and I did start, I guess, reimagining some of them, going back and making them. Mine are not for 4 inch figures like Tanner's, so they're a little bit better of a scale, because mine's actually made to go with the size for the Lego minifigures, so it's significantly better. So when I'm making a little robot like this one that the new version of Robo Tommy, whose face I can eventually turn around, it's quite a bit smaller, so easier to fit on the printers, and not you don't have to split them up into as many parts as Tanner has to. Okay, dear. But yeah, definitely for me, it's first and foremost it's practical prints, and even when Tom designs stuff, so that's Tom's pot. I don't know which number it was of the pots, but um, I've got a few different pots and stuff like that, and I do use them. So you do tend to put little bits and pieces into stuff. So I do use that sort of stuff all the time. I have to keep doing my speaker drivers. Yeah. Speaker things is something that is interesting me, but I'm not really an audiophile, so never really got into it. That incidentally was it's a scaled down. I can't remember how far I scaled it down, but it's a scaled down version of um, my plane, and that prints like that. So stood up on the bed, so you get the a nice smooth surface around the curves. Prints really nice. That's in the Filamentive Moss Grey matte PLA that I was in the middle of doing a review video for when all of this went off, and I just not got time to do it now. Just not got time. So, but yeah, there are bits and pieces of the. I'm just trying to look. I don't think I've actually got. So that was a scaled down version of the plane. Um, the scaled up version. So I don't know if you've seen the one that I made in various parts. Um, that was a kind of just a bit of fun again. Oh, Daniel, the the legend that is Daniel Naray. Oh, sorry. Let me try my pronunciation. Is it Daniel Naraya? If if I've murdered it again, I do apologise. But yeah, so there is again, so somebody who is the king of practical prints, but also of making the occasional mind-blowing um, radio-controlled Formula One car, which I've got lots of parts of. I've got lots of parts in the in the workshop here, but the finished one, which I never put the electronics in, but the finished one is up the stairs in the lad's bedroom. He absolutely loves it. So that is a classic. I have actually got, funny enough, because I was saying earlier on, I've had to do some tidying up because I've got face shields printing for fun, and if I just reach on the shelf down there, there he is, the ferryman. Always like to have him watching over us, just in case. Back in the reverse driver in my day. 1 second. With dust there, that's perfect. Actually, in the process of adapting OpenRC parts into one of my vehicles. Excellent. Daniel is, and the reason that I like Daniel's stuff so much is it's what in industry we would call design for manufacture. So it's all very well making something that looks nice in CAD, and but actually making it so that you can assemble the thing, so that you can so that it's usable, repeatable. There's definitely an art to that, and I think the OpenRC F1 in particular is absolutely fantastic for that. And it was I think I printed 3 of each part and kind of mix and match colours. I had to have a cough there. Sorry. Say getting up there, I definitely filled my lungs with dust there. That did not work at all in my favour. Oh, good stuff. Not product placement, I promise, but Iron Brew energy drink. Oh, fantastic! You can keep your Red Bull. That's the business. But yeah, so yeah, the OpenRC stuff, I just love it. I love the fact that it's designed to be put together. It's designed for manufacture. It's really good, and it's kind of part of the things that I like to try and do. I'm not saying I'm great at it, but it's what I do try to do. So what is you going to do? You're going to be a Hammett type vehicle. All 4 front wheels stay together off 1 servo. Oh, sounds superb. Uh, oh yes. It has been spoken about, Daniel. Once or twice. Fernando, when he came in, he called it out again. But yeah, I think Tanner mentioned it when he came in. I love it. It really is one of the favourite things that I've made. All these panels pop out, so they are in theory they're interchangeable. So they all just kind of pop out, and it's the simplest design in the world. It's 2 little tabs, and because they're nice and thin, the panels are flexible. I'm not going to do it now because I'll just wind myself up. But yeah, it was the last kind of production printing that I did before churning out all these headbands. But it just felt as if I was printing hexagons for weeks on end. So I was really pleased with it. I wanted it to be fairly muted um, colours on this one because I wanted this to be the background for videos. So I tried to make it like that. It did. It did take a while. It did take a while. There's plenty of cheats on there. So the frames obviously print fairly quickly. A lot of these, I'm just feeling around the back of them. A lot of them have got no bottom layer. So they were printed with speed in mind, especially towards the end, because I was getting to the point that it was frustrating the life out of me. But yeah, no, it took a little while, and that's why I've not carried on around the rest of the walls as yet because I needed a rest. I needed a break from printing hexagons. But equally, I'm now printing headbands, so for face shields. So I guess I'm back in the same swing again, doing the constant coming back. And to be honest, I've learned a lot about that type of printing to make me think of different ways of doing it. So I, when I start again and finish the other walls, maybe things will be a little bit different. We shall see. Um, I'm just trying to think of what else we might have done. What have we got coming up? I mean, there was a question. I started off this stream, and I gotta say, really, this is about me trying to figure out how YouTube streaming works. So I did a couple of private streams. Fernando was in one of them, I think. Um, just testing the technology side, so testing OBS and making sure that everything's there. Everything was working the way it would. But what I hadn't done really was test what happens when I go live. Does it send a notification? If I share the link, how do I do that? Just the stuff like that in YouTube. So I wanted to play with that. I was playing earlier with StreamYard because I know a lot of people are using that just at the moment. So I thought I'd have a play around with that. There's a couple of problems with it at the moment for me, but I will get them fixed, and I think I will use that going forward. One of the things that I'd meant to do with the Infill show, right from the beginning, was have interviews, and I don't know if any of you have ever. I was going to say seen it. It's more of a listen to it, and maybe this is the right time. So if you're out in the weather painting your fence, I would encourage you to listen to my interview with Fernando, because unfortunately for Fernando, we did a full interview and the video was corrupt. So I had technical problems, I guess, with my problem with StreamYard. Did I say Streamlabs? Sorry, StreamYard. Um, I'll talk about that in a minute, I guess. But yeah, so the interview is now. I still posted it to YouTube, but I put a couple of pictures in it as it went along. But it's mainly audio that's on there, and Fernando fascinates me. Very good friend of mine. He's an absolute genius, and the way his brain works and the stuff that he comes up with absolutely blows me away. I love it. So I will go back and oh, I suppose that he says yes. Obviously, I will go back and I will interview him again. He has done all sorts of things since the last time that we spoke, anyway. So definitely warrants another interview. But now I think I've got the technology sorted so that we can do that as well. So hopefully, so that will help. But yeah, so yeah, Daniel, it's the StreamYard. I may have said Streamlabs before. If I did, I'll apologise. But StreamYard seems to be what all the cool kids are using at the moment to stream with. And the issue that I had was you either pay $25 a month and you get lots of functionality, or the free ones fairly cut down. And I'm okay with that. It actually does an awful lot of what I need. But then I want to be able to stream from the virtual cam within OBS. And for some reason, other people are telling me that they've done it no problem. But for some reason, when I open StreamYard, it doesn't see the virtual cam from OBS. So I just need to do a little bit of digging on that and see whether that. The really good thing about StreamYard seems to be that there's you can add lots of people. So I think on the free one, I think you can have up to 5 other people, and it just lets you, it lays them out really well. And the stuff that you have to do manually in OBS, it does it automatically, and it seems really good. So a combination of the two, I think, as I go forward, will probably work all right for me. So we'll get on there. So what's she saying? Face shields. Do you think people will see 3D print in a different way? How many times have kind of said this, and that think something comes along and this 3D printed, and you think, oh, this has got to be the turning point. This has got to be when people start to take it serious. I don't know. It is in the mainstream media now. It is the major news channels are picking it up. There's so the face shields that we're doing, we've like the through work, and we've got our design approved by the local NHS authority so that we can supply them direct, and kind of will be doing in numbers as we go on there. But in the UK, there's a group called 3D Crowd UK who are organising this on a mass scale, getting them out across all the country, and they are getting coverage on like the BBC, for instance, BBC News. So it's getting out there. It's getting people talking about it. It'd be nice to think that they're that after this people will see it in a different light. I'm just not convinced. It's so difficult to change people's views. I don't know. Are you away, Fernando? Good night, Fernando. I'll speak to you soon. 6.5. This is the like Saturday Maker stream. Yeah, no, that is true, Tanner. When you get a lot of people in, it's not something that I particularly think I'll be doing a lot of. There is a group of people that I'd maybe stream with, but I don't think I'd be doing an awful lot of the big group ones myself, or hosting them myself. So it might be enough. The free version might be enough for me. It's just one of those things that at the moment, and the Infill show, yes, we've been promising to do that for at least 12 months. But maybe we'll pick it up and we'll do it more often. But I just don't know. At the moment, it's one of those where I might stream tonight and then I might not stream again for 3 months. I don't know. I'm planning to do more streaming, but I might not. So until I'm sure that it's something that I want to do, and it'll be with others. It'll be with one or two others. Then look at that. So we're in the UK. Where in the UK am I? I'm in Scotland, so I know you can't tell it from the accent because I'm not originally from here, but I am in Scotland. So our local NHS region, if you like, we managed to get in touch with their, let's see if I get this right, infectious disease control office, I think, and got them through to it. Time works, I might be able to do an interview chat. Aye, definitely. I think we can, because that was the whole idea, was that I wanted to kind of interview people in the community that I follow, that I'm interested in hearing about. So definitely, I think there's plenty of scope for doing that. I'm just kind of I heard one of the printers stop, and as I said before, they're all timed to stop about the same time. So the nervous twitch is coming because they've stopped. So I think I've waffled on long enough as well. So I'll probably call it a night there. So those two printers within minutes of each other. Any minute now, we've got 92% and 98%. The other printer was running the bottom pieces, 8 at a time, and that takes about 3 hours. And the headbands are taking about an hour and a half each. So they're all kind of timed to just go around. Well, I'm not at the moment. I'm not doing a filament frenzy and staying up till 6 in the morning to keep feeding them. I'm running kind of one last one overnight, so I'll do that start them all going again and run it there. I'm up to about, I think I've printed about 150 now, something like that. So as I say, I'm not at the kind of levels of your Joe 3D Maker Noob, or even Tom for that matter. But I'm doing my bit. I'm hopefully getting them churned out. So yeah. So as I say, I will call that a night. I'll fade to another one of the transitions, and unfortunately, it's not calming music, but I'll fade to the one that shows. And so incidentally, before I do that, so the little graphic in the top corner, the infill graphic, which I hope is showing the right way around for you guys. I never really checked, um, but I should really look at that one. It looks as if it's got a big YouTube live over the top of it, but I'm not sure. But anyway, so all of the in between screens and everything, Tommy Graffit designed them and did a fantastic job. So I give him some kudos for that. So as I say, I'll fade out to one of his screens and bid you all adieu. And hopefully I'll do this I'll do this again. Thanks a lot, guys.